Yeah, we bring reviews of your house, talk to our dudes of your house. I bring my views of your house, wrestling truths of your house. We talk to you in your house, we keeps it cool in your house, we keeps it cool in your house. I'm spitting truths in your house. Yeah. Mark's hating on his fans, Becky's niche on the man. Play with two like a lions, household a dangerous alliance. I am a nightmare like Cody, and I'm overcoming like Kobe. No, they cannot hold me. Come listen, I'm hosting, critiquing, I'm boasting. This wrestling I'm knowing.
My name is Brian Pillman Jr., and you're listening to the In Your House podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, starring Alakon House. And of course, my man, Michael Hutchinson. That's Mikey Hutch. This is the People's Podcast. Hey, how's it going? It is your boy with his homie Hutch. Hope you guys are having a great Friday for real. I know I am. We got the weekend coming up. I'm off. I got my man on the phone here with me. How's it going, Hutch?
Man, it's going all right. It's been a long week at the worky works, at the jobby job, and it's kind of been annoying. Had some first world problems going on trying to get the old podcast going for the household.
Oh my gosh!
Kind of got some heat, as it were, with the Skype.
Yes, man. Yes. So we're talking. We're talking, and we're just kind of figuring out what we want to go over on the show tonight. And I'm trying to call you, and I'm not hearing anything. You're hearing me, but I'm not hearing anything.
The conversation's kind of going like this: hello, hello, hello. It's like we don't want to bore you guys with this, but
right.
it was annoying. I just want you guys to know what we do for the household to bring you the show. It's the first little snafu, as it were.
Exactly. It was really frustrating.
Yeah, it was. I think we threw some curse words out there. I waved my fist in anger and rage. And but you know what? That all aside, here we are. Thank you very much for joining us. And other than that bullshit, doing fantastic, and ready to chop it up with you again, and provide some entertainment for the household. So let's get it. Let go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, it has been a week of wrestling. I mean, there's always something new to talk about, it seems like, in a time where wrestling is, of course, as we've said multiple times, it's ramping up. It's about to become something. It always seems like there's new news coming out. There's always something new. And one of the biggest topics of conversation has really been the WWE's ratings lately, and the dramatic dip in the ratings. Isn't that right, Michael?
Yes, sir. Again, we've mentioned before, they're kind of bleeding a little bit, and it seems, again, I'm just going off what I'm watching on TV. Don't know anything about what's going on behind the curtain. Right. Never worked with Vince, obviously, but it just seems like a panic. Like, oh no, wait, you could be on both shows. No, you could be on both shows. Who draws? Who let's get them all on both shows. So that's your answer. That's what you're gonna do.
It's sloppy.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. No. I do believe, I could be wrong, I think the ratings dropped a little bit again.
I do believe so. Michael, man, this is becoming a trend, and it's like we've said it, and specifically you, Michael, you said it before, that WWE has continued to sell for AEW.
Yeah, because let's face it, negative or positive, whatever it is you want to say, they're making waves. And they are basically all but tipped their TV deal card. Yeah. And it seems all signs are pointing to TNT. And see, and here's the difference. People's like, oh, it's going to be like WCW, blah, blah, blah. Well, Ted Turner doesn't own AEW.
No.
Tony Khan and the Khan family owns AEW. So
true.
that, I think, again, from my perspective, based on, the information that's out there, correct me if I'm wrong, that's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's big. That's big time different, man. That's big time different because Turner having say in WCW. I mean, him having a hand in whatever he wanted done. They had to do it. He's the owner of the network. This is going to be a little bit different here with the Khans being the middleman here. The Khans have enough money to where they can pretty much put out whatever content they kind of want to put out. And if AEW is a hot enough show, if their first year is good and let's say it's only a 2-year deal and they have a great 2 years and then something breaks down with Turner, if they have a hot show with Tony Khan successfully pushing this show, a lot of different channels are going to want them if things go right.
That's true. Hell, maybe Fox.
Yeah. Yep. Who knows? You never know. I mean, it could be an edgier type program, and from everything that I'm hearing here, man, with Fox, that's what they want. They want something a little bit edgier, and they're kind of been putting pressure on Vince to give something a little edgier, a little bit more meat behind it. And speaking of Fox, since we're on that subject, we were talking. Of course, there's rumors. I don't know if it's true. You don't know either. Once again, we are marks, and we just go off the dirt sheets here. But from what I understand, there's a certain viewership that Fox wants them to have by the time October gets here. Is that correct?
Yeah, from what I hear, the scuttlebutt, as it were, is that that Fox wants WWE to have at 3 million viewers consistently, and they're pulling the last actual number that I know that they pulled, which was last week's Raw, not the one that aired, but the week prior.
Right.
1.8 mil, 1.8 milli. That's bleak. That's bleak.
Well below average.
And let me say again, this is just going off my perspective. It's not the talent's fault. It's not Roman's fault. No. It's not Kofi's fault. It's not Becky's fault. No. It's not Seth Rollins' fault. It's the writing. There's just nothing there. There's no consistency. I do believe that they just hired a writer or an assistant for the writing team that is supposed to do continuity checks on the script.
What?
Put yourself in that guy's shoes.
Oh my goodness, that is.
Could you imagine? Because who makes the final calls? Big Balls Vince comes in there and says, "Fuck that shit. I don't give a damn if you work 14 goddamn hours on it, pal." He just erases the whole damn thing, and then the whole show's just different, and it shows. It shows just as a viewer.
He was going out there and he was calling himself a genius on television.
Well, that's yeah. Well, then he said the line, and I'm going to do my best to quote him here because he totally just messed up the line. He said, "You can go to Raw wrestlers can go to SmackDown, and SmackDown wrestlers can go to SmackDown." And I'm sitting there going, "What?" And he'd be like, "You heard me, goddammit!" Wait. It hurts. It hurts, I love seeing Vince. I used to love seeing Vince on TV, and it still pops me to see him come out and everything because I'm like, oh my god, what's he gonna say?
Yeah.
But, and again, I just.
It feels like he knows that he's on the ropes right now. It feels like, man, Michael, it feels like the old dog don't want to go out, bro.
I don't know, man. I kind of got to disagree there. I don't think just on his ego alone that he gives two shits about AEW. He doesn't. I mean, we've sit here and said that they've sold for him, in a sense, and there's a lot of evidence that does point towards that. And I don't want to make myself sound like a hypocrite here, but based on what I've heard about Vince McMahon, from various, shoot interviews or whatever it is you want to call it, with talent who's worked with him and for him, he's got an ego, man. He's in a bubble, so. yes, I'm sure he's heard of it, but I'm sure I would assume. Well, I don't want to say I'm sure, but I would think that he's very dismissive about it.
Yeah.
I think people mentioned it and probably brought it up, especially with as it's gained momentum and like, oh God, they're getting a TV deal and what Chris Jericho's there. Well, he can't have any of our people anymore,
Yeah.
And then you got Triple H calling it a pissant company and or whatever, and I mean, and Triple H knows. If anybody knows, it's Triple H.
Yeah, he definitely knows. He definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, knows what's happening because he still kind of got his finger on the pulse, but there's nothing he can do right now.
Nothing. And I'm willing to, again, I would bet, I'd place a wager that there's been more than one conversation, probably heated, more so on Vince's side, where Triple H is like, Vince, like AEW's, that like they're making moves right now. And Vince is like, well, what's at AEW? And then, you got Triple H talking about, well, the guy who owns it's got more money than you. I mean, he probably could talk to Vince like that. I mean,
he probably could. He probably could.
Right. So, I mean, what can they do, though, man?
I don't know, but Michael, can you imagine? Okay, can you imagine being in Triple H's shoes, bro? Think about it. You are booking and running the hottest show on WWE, NXT, the best show on WWE, NXT. You're sitting over here and you have to look up above you, and you got to see your father-in-law crapping out a turd every week called Monday Night Raw. And
yeah.
And you look below you. You look below you, Michael, and you see something coming up, shooting up at you, and that's AEW. And you're like, hey, if you let me drive the ship, If you let me drive the ship, I can keep this away. No, I got it. I understand. I got it. And he's getting pushed down by Vince McMahon. He knows what he needs to do to keep AEW at bay, or at least keep things competitive. In fact, I bet you inside Triple H, I bet you he wants to compete. Because Triple H is one of the boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will disagree with that, and that could possibly be his motivation for what he said in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He didn't say, he may not have meant it as a diss. He may have meant it as a, kind of a smack in the face, before the fight. Like, you want to, all right, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I love that spirit.
But I will say when AEW comes out, honestly, I don't really even want to see them acknowledge WWE.
No, don't do it. You can't do it.
Just be you.
Yep.
Be you. Don't be like different just because we're like, you're anti WWE.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to say, like, be pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it. I feel you.
Come out, be your own identity. Be AEW, and they're doing a great job of that. I'm not sure if we can touch on this. I actually have just recently started watching them. The YouTube channels of Cody Rhodes and the Double or Nothing videos they've been doing. It's like kind of building the show.
Yeah, okay. I've heard of it, but I haven't. I think I've only sat down and watched the Jericho promo to Cody Rhodes, but I haven't watched the previous episodes. Aren't there like 15 episodes in right now?
Yeah, I do believe so. 14, 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
but
area.
I just watched the recent one that had the Jericho promo with Cody, which was fantastic because it was weird. It was like a work, but it was talking about like the business of signing talent and all that stuff. So it was like a look behind the curtain, but a worked version of that.
Yeah.
Which could work. I'm not, but it did here. But just the way and like they did a promo with Pac that was really cool. It was just him and like kind of just like a white wall behind him. But like, you know how like on a VCR, if the tracking is off,
Yeah.
where like you see the lines and the screen
Yep.
kind of flips a little bit,
Yep.
they had that kind of filter on the
Oh.
screen while he was cutting his promo. And you know what? It was so simple. It was such a simple thing, but it worked. For me, it worked.
Yeah.
And of course, Dude cut a great promo anyway. Pac cut a
Yeah.
great promo to hype the because I do believe he's in the championship match with Hangman Page,
I do believe
right?
so. Yes, I do believe so.
Uh,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
which I think those two will put on a hell of a match. I think that'll be really good. And it was a good promo to build to the match. I think it worked. And which brings me back to my point in all this. If this is any indication of the direction that AEW is going to go, this is so much different than WWE presentation.
Yeah.
If they have just as striking of a different look in ring,
Yeah.
WWE may be in trouble.
I think so too, man. I think so too because, dog, one thing that I've noticed is that, man, WWE's presentation is old. It's stale. I'm over it. They need a fresh coat of paint in a major way. I am so tired of that presentation and the same backstage segments over and over again, and then it's in ring and it's some kind of in ring promo, and then everything turns into a 6-man tag or something like that. Their whole presentation is stale.
Yes, it's very formulaic, man, and they need to break that. And I'm not sure. And the one thing that you talk about production and all that, and absolutely they need a fresh coat of paint. I agree. And my God, anytime that there is like a major fight, a brawl, anything, stop moving the camera up and down and left and right and flipping the camera 1 and 3 and 5 and 7. My God, like who's the monkey on the controls back there just slamming buttons with their ass? That's what it feels like. They're just rolling their face over the panel that changes the cameras.
Man.
It's ridiculous. And I actually saw a funny video. I'm not even sure how you would go about looking this up, but there's a video of somebody in the crowd. I think it looks like a cell phone video where they're recording the camera guy who is recording the fight. I forget who's fighting, but they're doing that thing where they're just lifting the camera up and down and up and down and up and down, and it looks hilarious. And it's like, what action movie, where anything, who would film something like that? Other than filming like random stuff, like outside or my kid running around or whatever on my phone, like I've never recorded anything, never recorded a movie, but I feel like what reason would you have to shoot something like that?
Right, in that way. And I don't know, man. I think that they tried to change things up, I guess, when they took the stage that was down by the ring and put it up by the stage now on Monday Night Raw to try to simulate some kind of different look, but it just keeps going back to the same thing where WWE says, oh, we're going to try this new thing. Oh, it's about to change the course. Oh, we're about to change our presentation. And then they do it for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Like I don't know if you remember when they had that big old, like, fresh thing. When they had, I think they had, it was Finn Balor actually beat Roman Reigns for the number 1 contendership for the title, for the Universal title, and they like did this weird thing where they were like interviewing guys like right by the ring, and the sound was different. I don't know if you remember that, but it like the way that what's that?
I'm sorry. Yes, I kind of do. It's almost like they had the volume, like the audio through the house mic.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the house
It was
speaker.
different. It was different, and I was like, okay, this is different. This is kind of cool. I gave it to him. I was like, okay, the way to kind of be creative with it. You know what I mean? And they were doing it right by the ring after matches and stuff. And I was like, okay, so they're kind of doing a thing where it's almost like UFC or something after a match where they interview the loser or winner right after. And I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind that. And then they did it for like 2 weeks and they stopped.
Right. And I you know what? I think this new presentation, we might get that when this transition over to Fox happens.
Yeah, but for how long though?
Maybe a month and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah,
Well, it depends if they can pull ratings.
yeah. True that. True. I mean, dude, they made this move to Fox, but now this thing has put in so much pressure on Vince McMahon, and then he's got to prove he can make ratings because he just got the XFL like agreeing to do like ESPN and all this stuff. Like, dude, like you got to deliver. Like, you didn't sign up to get all these deals with the with these different channels for the XFL, and what if it goes under again? How can with AEW looming? With AEW looming, and then he's going to do XFL again, and the WWE product struggling, what's going to happen? And we're just going to, just follow me here, Michael. Where are we going to be at? Where are we going to be at in a world where AEW, it's 2 years down the line, it's 2021, AEW is thriving. People are still stoked on it, and they're staying fresh and relevant and everything. WWE's still struggling in the same way that they're struggling now, and the XFL goes under. What's going to happen?
Well, the world hasn't ended by then. I don't know, man. If the XFL flops, that's going to be a pretty heavy hit financially. But I mean, I don't see the WWE going anywhere.
I get it.
I really don't. But if the XFL, if you have the combination, it'll be curious to see Vince's reaction if the XFL fails and the things fall from under him with Fox.
Right. Yeah, how's he going to respond to that type of failure?
Exactly, because they'll get another spot. Because, I mean, they do get... it's still not compared to some other shows, it's still a decent number, but...
Yeah, people are going to... Like, channels are going to pick it up, but, man, it's going to be it's going to be a steep fall from grace, bro.
Very, very. And that may be what it takes for him to be like, you know what? Maybe I don't. Maybe it is time. Because and as we've said before, that'll be the time when WWE could potentially rise back to prominence again, is whenever Vince decides to finally, if he'll ever, hand off the reins to whoever he decides is fit for it, Triple H. Because love him or hate him, man, he's got the formula with NXT. We put it over every single time there's a takeover.
Yep, the formula's there, man, and he could definitely make the main roster work, but, man, just the booking is just really, really bad,
well, that's what happens when you hire writers who've written for comedy shows on television who don't know anything about wrestling.
So true. That's
why you got the Revival scooting their damn ass on the mat.
Ugh, an embarrassment. I mean...
got that Uzi hot on my taint. Like, what are we watching here? I know it was a spot or whatever, but come on, man.
And the Usos are great, man. I love the Usos. They're an awesome team, but just that was stupid. I mean, it just was.
Why people change your channel? That's why people are watching, and I know you can be like, oh, they've done all kinds of silly comedy spots. Look back at I know that, I get it, but those comedy spots, albeit if they were bad or good, were peppered in with lightning hot, nuclear hot segments, and a lot of that credit goes to the personalities that they had at the time.
Yeah.
With your Stone Colds and your Rocks and, all of DX and all that stuff. But again, it was an edgier product too. And I'm not saying that they need to go, full bore into it, but hell, if Cody and his gang, Cody and the gang of misfits over at AEW, and I mean that with all respect, because again, they got immense talent over there. Yeah. But let's face it, that's how they probably are viewed in WWE. I mean, if they're dropping F-bombs and all that stuff on TNT, and then you got WWE doing this candy-coated garbage that they've been spewing out, again, all of this adding up, again, it's not going to kill WWE, but they're going to get rocked.
Oh, they're gonna get rocked, dude. They're definitely gonna get rocked. I agree with you there, because there's just it's a rough spot. So I agree with you. They're gonna get rocked. And another thing that has gotten rocked is WWE's women's division. How about that? Man, we had a meteoric rise going into WrestleMania. Whether you liked Ronda Rousey or hated Ronda Rousey, she catapulted. She catapulted Becky Lynch and Charlotte into the final match of WrestleMania. First ever women's triple threat match, or first ever women's main event, period. I mean, it was a triple threat match, but it was the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania, period. And since then, I mean, the women's division has gone ice cold. And you told me something. Apparently, there's talks of WWE has given up on the women's division. Michael, what?
Well, man, again, it's speculation. I don't know, but I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, women got, a grand total of 11 minutes of airtime on Raw?
That's what I read. I read that as well. It was 11 minutes between SmackDown and Raw.
Oh, wow, that's
even
well,
worse.
Worse. Let's divide it between two shows. Like,
what's happening?
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, it brings me back to consistency, man. It's like, you got some talented women there. You know who I blame? I know what it is.
What's that?
I know what it is.
What's that?
Han, are you sitting down?
I am.
Household, are you sitting down? You can't answer. But on the live episode, you can.
Oh, I sure can.
But Alicia Fox.
It's got to be. She ruined everything.
In this rise to WrestleMania, right?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but and I could be wrong, but I don't believe Alicia Fox was anywhere on TV, right? Wasn't she like busy possibly being drunk and all that stuff? I don't know, speculation is what was out there.
And
then all of a sudden, she has a couple matches on Raw.
Yep.
And now, look what happened. Dun, dun, dun. Alicia Fox.
It was Alicia Fox. It was her the whole time, wasn't it? She ruined the women's division single-handedly.
Hutch is blowing the case wide open on this, man.
That's it.
By God, I'm going to take him down, see?
Yeah, see? Yeah. Man.
Never caught me.
But, man, the women's division, we were talking a little bit before we went on the air, and we were talking about who's been on TV. Nikki Cross hasn't been on my TV.
Why? Well, actually, you know what? She has a reason. She actually, believe it or not, I do believe she actually is in college. She's taking courses in school and stuff. So she actually, I do believe, stepped away, albeit temporarily. I didn't see it was anything permanent from WWE to go back to school. I'm not sure. Obviously to get a degree. But I'm not sure what she's doing. And I think on her Instagram, she's kind of been posting the story of this. So you guys may want to go check it out and see if I'm right. I could be wrong, but I might be right. I guess we'll see. 50-50 chance, right? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's the truth, and good for her, seriously.
That's awesome, because I feel like as a talent, you should have a backup, yeah? Yep. I mean, just in case, God forbid, something goes wrong, or things don't pan out the way you hope it would, like have a backup.
Absolutely, man. So
have a plan A and all that.
I'll let that one go then. I'll let that one go, but Ruby Riott hasn't been on my TV.
Same. I'm upset about that too. I like her. I like her. Again, I know she's from, training in Indiana and all that, but But I like her. She
She's
grew on me a lot.
good, bro. She's good. I like Ruby Riott, and I'm tired of her not being on my TV, and I'm also tired of her not being in the women's main event. She deserves a chance to be champion because she's an all around good talent. Why is Sarah Logan not on my TV?
Right? Yeah, because I like her too. And
I like Sarah Logan.
I mean, and again, should they will. They're cycled out right now. They have too many people.
I get it, and there is an oversaturation of talent in the WWE, but that's the bed that they lie in. But also, like, use your guys better. Like, you have other shows. I mean, you could take some of them, and you could. I mean, for that case, if you're gonna have all the good women talent and you already have a network, why don't you just have an Our Woman show on the network?
That's actually a good idea. Well, I mean, and the question is, though, and I'll leave it to you guys. Comment.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys watch, I don't want to call it Glow, but that's kind of an older reference. Maybe some of our older listeners will get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, would you guys watch an all women's show? I would.
I'd check it out. I would check it out. And then every now and then, you know, they could do like a show where maybe Becky Lynch is there and then she might defend. Like, that'll give you a reason to watch. Could put good matches on there. You know what I mean? Like, do like a Becky Lynch versus Ruby Riott title match one week or something like that, and then do like a almost like a NXT takeover type thing, but just for the women's show, and make it a big deal. And then all of a sudden you give it, like, you're gonna make people watch that show if you booked a women's show like you book like NXT or something like that. Like, just like not overly produced, but really good wrestling and really good storytelling, like what they do in NXT, but just all women. I'd watch it. I would absolutely watch it.
I would as well, as long as they put their heart into it. They actually got behind it, and again, they gave it an NXT-esque approach. Like, had them, had their fingerprints all over it, and maybe have Triple H oversee that too. I mean, God, he's busy though, so that'd just be another thing for him. But he could do it.
But yeah, and then you could even, like, some shows, the main event could be a women's tag team championship match, and even if you wanted to bring in a secondary women's championship, like a women's intercontinental championship or something like that, I wouldn't even hate that, to be honest. Or if you didn't even want to, or even if you didn't want to do that, have some shows where the NXT Women's Championship gets defended, or have some shows where or better yet, have some shows where you have the Women's UK Championship come and get defended. So many possibilities for a women's show to be really good.
Yeah, for sure, and they have the talent. Keep Alicia Fox crazy ass
far away from that.
But yeah, like, I mean, again, the women's roster is immensely deep in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah,
and keep your that's what she said, or your perverted jokes to yourselves, you bunch of weirdos. But yeah, I mean, the women there are talented. I mean, can say what you want about Charlotte. Charlotte is awesome. Yep. Same about Becky. Same about Asuka. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even your Carmellas and stuff like that, like, give them time to shine too. And Ruby Riott, as you said, like, again, so many amazing talents there. And hell, I'll even say Dana Brooke. Why not, man? Because, I mean, she's got something to give too. I mean, she's different looking. She's got a unique look. Whether you like that or hate that, you know who she is. So, yeah, man, I think they don't deserve to just, like, be relegated back to the way they were before. Just because, like, oh, the ratings are low, let's blame the women. Like, seriously, what kind of shit is that?
It's crap, man. It's crap, and it sucks because it really just says the women's revolution was only leading up to that, and now we're not gonna do it anymore because we've milked it for everything it's worth, and that feels gross to me. You know what I mean?
A little bit. But again, that could just kind of be caught up in this wave of panic. Yeah. I mean, yes, albeit it's not the right call, but you try to put yourself in Vince's shoes for a second and just be like, all right, how's our numbers? What do you mean they're lower? We've been pushing the women; they've been cheering for them. What the hell? Because maybe in his head he doesn't think. Most likely in his head he probably doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because again, which brings us back to the bubble that he's in.
But also, and you said you were putting yourself in Vince's shoes. I'm gonna play devil's advocate against the fans. That is, for a second here. Everything that's going on with WWE, yes, WWE's booking is bad. WWE is in trouble with their ratings. But man, I gotta say, some of it, and just hear me out here. It's not all WWE's fault. Some of it actually is the fan base's fault. It really is. And here's why. Because this year's WrestleMania was a fantastic WrestleMania. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We got all the payoff that we wanted to get. Kofi Kingston became champion. Seth Rollins slayed the Beast, and now we have a full-time Universal Champion that's on the show every week. And Becky Lynch won and became the champ. You know what I mean? The double champ. We got all the big payoff. And what happened after that? Everybody stopped watching.
Yep.
They stopped watching. It's confusing. It's confusing for the WWE. Say, okay, we're going to give you what you want, and then we turn. And I understand that a lot of it is just hype, and then when WrestleMania is over, the dust kind of clears a few weeks after that. But man, like, we turn so quick, and it's hard for WWE to say, okay, here it is. Here's everything that you wanted, and we're going to give it to you. And then we say, okay, cool, thanks for giving me that. Now I don't care anymore. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, like that. Book more consistently. I mean, because again, I believe we've alluded to this before. They drop the ball on so much stuff. They flake out. The women. Mm-hmm. I mean, stick with it. I mean, if they stuck with everything, and I mean, I love Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? I'll say it, man. As a guy, I'm glad he defeated cancer and all that. And boy, that's going to be a soundbite. I love Roman Reigns. Somebody feel that, damn it. But yeah, like Roman Reigns is a great talent. If they were as consistent with everything as they were with Roman.
Agreed.
Then they might be at a better spot than they're in right now.
Agreed.
I could be wrong.
Absolutely. No. I agree. I totally agree.
Because
I totally agree.
And like, here's an example. Matt Hardy.
Yep.
Check this out. So, Matt Hardy, we've seen like what he did with this broken thing, right, or this woken thing, and whatever, is both iterations, I guess you could say, both in TNA and in WWE, which really wasn't as good, but at least they tried and they did some cool stuff with it. There was some stuff that worked and some stuff that didn't. But now, Matt Hardy's in that backstage segment on SmackDown, I believe, with R-Truth. And Lars walks in, and I believe like Matt's like, there he is. And then he gets in like this weird kung fu stance and then starts fighting. That's all you got for Matt Hardy? Really? Yep. Like, and that's just one segment, but that to me,
I get it.
It made it look so silly. And not silly, you'd be like, oh, you mean to tell me he didn't look silly doing the broken thing? Yeah, he looked silly, but it was silly in a brilliant way. This was just dumb. Like, and that's the problem. That's what irks me about WWE the most is I feel like at times it insults your intelligence. And again, I know it sounds like we're just boo-booing all over them, but they do, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do. They insult your intelligence. Bray Wyatt segment aside, because again, that is platinum right now.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
the money.
As it stands for 3 weeks now, it's been money. But other than that, not a whole lot going on,
Yep.
and they're just. I think, and again, they become complacent. We've said it before; they become complacent. That's why I really hope, and regardless, if you love pro wrestling, I'm gonna say this right now, and y'all feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and come on after Double or Nothing, and we'll have a tactful debate about it.
Yep.
Regardless, if you support, let me clear my throat here so I can try to say this as crystal clear as I can.
Yep.
Regardless, if you support this quote unquote t-shirt company called AEW, you need this to work. You need AEW to work. You want AEW to work.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't, then this downward spiral is going to continue, sadly, and nobody's going to win with that. You have New Japan killing it overseas, and they're kind of trying to dip their toe into coming over here a little bit, and I think they could. And then you got MLW making some noise.
Yep.
They're really, really good.
Really
Looking
good,
forward to that show. We're going to get those tickets next week.
Yep.
For what is it? The something of the Coliseum?
MLW Kings of Coliseum.
Kings of Coliseum. There you go. Thank you. My apologies for again, it just popped in my head that we were getting that. But yes, that they're making some noise. I'm looking forward to getting into watching more shows of theirs.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
But AEW is kind of, I don't want to call wrestling's last hope because that's kind of cheesy. But I feel like there's a lot riding on this. You know what? I'm going to say it for me personally as a fan, and please don't get nervous because again, if anything, if I don't watch wrestling, I'll still do the podcast for you guys and all that. So, don't fret when I say this, but if AEW doesn't work out, it's going to be even that much more difficult to watch WWE because we're going to go right back to this and it's just going to get worse.
And we won't have something like AEW to even talk about. Like, yeah, we'll still have MLW, and honestly, man, if AEW don't work and WWE, just falls back into their old ways, your old habits, man, it's. I mean, I'm gonna straight up say it right here. I'll say it right here on this 5-star podcast. We probably won't talk much WWE on this podcast. You know what I mean? We'll probably just keep it to the other promotions and stuff like that. And maybe if WWE has something relevant to talk about, or maybe like a big show or something like that. But if things can't get better, if we don't have AEW, and that allows WWE to continue to be complacent, that's going to be a rough talk. It's always going to be a rough talk because I pride myself and I pride this podcast and I pride this brand on the fact that we don't just come out here and bash everything all the time. So I wouldn't want to talk about WWE because I feel like that when we did talk about WWE, if AEW failed and they continued to be complacent, that all we would be doing is bashing them, and I wouldn't like doing that 24/7. That's not the content that we want to give you guys. You know what I mean?
Well, that's absolute fact, and there's way too many, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to talk smack about anybody else's show. You guys put just as much heart into your stuff, at least I would hope so, that we do in this one.
Yeah.
And you're entitled to your opinion, as we always say.
Yep.
And to quote something that I shared on the Facebook page, there, it was a picture that I got from Twitter that said, like, it's cool to like WWE, it's cool to like AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, just like wrestling. And I kind of added to that a little bit and said that that's kind of our creed here at In Your House.
Yep.
That, love who, cheer who you want to back, cheer who you want to cheer, boo who you want to boo. Don't hate on others because they like different things. Yep. We all love this sport of professional wrestling.
Yep.
We are one. You want to, and WWE calls it a universe in some cheesy way. I kind of get it because again, we are one.
Yep.
Yes, we have our differences in it, and yes, it's fun. And I hope we get this with AEW, WWE, because think about the modern, like if we had like modern technology, if we had what we had now, with WWF and WCW.
Oh man, that'd be so fun.
Like you get it to where they're actually both good, and then you have people divided, because I remember diehard, devout WCW fans. I
was me.
I was more of a WWF guy.
I was more of a WCW guy, bro.
And I tuned in. I watched the Saturday show of WCW, and then the Clash of the Champions. I was always thrilled when that came on because they were always so good. So it wasn't that I wasn't a fan of WCW.
Yeah.
I just had more exposure to WWE. But then when Nitro hit, I watched Nitro as well. I was there for episode 1 because I remember thinking, wow, I really like Clash of the Champions. They're going to be on every Monday at the same time that WWF is? What? Okay. So... And then there it come, either the recording, setting up the old VCR to record one channel while I watch the other one, or if it's really good and I really don't want to miss it, when the NWO stuff started going down, changing the channel back and forth.
Yep.
Not wanting to miss anything. And then here, this begs the question, brings us back to right now compared to then. They always left you with a cliffhanger. I'll ask you, Con, and I'll ask the people out there.
Sure.
Other than the Bray Wyatt thing, because that's one thing I'll say. I am looking forward to that. Short of that, though, what do you have to look forward to next week on Raw? Crickets.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Because you're going to get the same thing, just like you so eloquently stated earlier. Promos, backstage interviews, setting up multi-person tag matches, same stuff, blah, 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 same formulaic stuff, man. You have nothing to look forward to, and it's all just blending together at this point. And I think that's why this Bray Wyatt thing is so striking, is because it's so anti-everything that they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that that's why it's good, because it's good because of the content, not because it's different.
Right.
That just helps it.
Yeah.
Just stand out more so, just other than how striking it is. But again, it's different. So they need more stuff like that. And if the reason for the Bray Wyatt thing is working is because they're letting Bray Wyatt, contribute and produce, and be like, this is what I want, this is what we need to do, then they need to let more talent do that.
Facts. That's facts, man. I mean, people want to, I've seen people like WWE apologists, they want to deny it, but I don't think there's any hiding it. I don't think there's any, you could be in denial if you want to. It's whatever. I'm not here to try to, take your safety net away from you, thinking that things are going to be okay. You're thinking things are going to be okay, but I'm telling you, WWE does got something to think about. This is not something that I think that they need to take lightly. And I'm not even talking about AEW. I'm talking about the ratings, the bad booking, the no larger than life characters. Everything is just, it's in trouble, and they got the tools. They've got the tools right there. They've got everything at their disposal to make this good. They do. They just have to, they just got to get out of their own ass. That's the thing, man. They got to get out of their own ass and say, we got to do something. We've got to do something different, because doing the same thing over and over again, or changing something and then going back to the same thing after 2 weeks, that ain't it. If anything, you giving us change and then taking it away so quick is pissing us off even more. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it just gets more and more frustrating. And then if you go into it frustrated and with a negative attitude, like, I'm not going to lie, that's kind of how it's been, odds are you're going to be more prone to having a negative opinion. And I know I do my best, and I really have done my best to tell myself the approach of, give things a chance, let things breathe, see how it goes. And I do, because by God, as much as I'm sitting here being uber negative about WWE, I am tuning in every week.
Yep.
I tune in every week, more so for you guys now. I do this for you guys.
Same.
So, but I know too that wrestling can change on a dime. Again, I was there when Vince McMahon, all of a sudden, there's Vince on TV saying, we're not going to insult your intelligence anymore. It's funny that the same man who said this back then is doing this now. But back then, he's like, we as the WWE, we had some basically, we had some kid stuff, blah, 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 give funny gimmicks and all that. But, we're not going to insult your intelligence anymore. We're going to present a bit of an edgier product. And then they started doing it. Yeah. And it's like they need that again. Somebody, and they need a kick in the ass again.
They definitely need. Oh yeah.
And I think at the end of the month, that boot's coming.
Yep.
That boot's coming to his ass. And again, he's going to no sell it, and they'll keep on. The machine will keep on grinding. It'll keep on doing its thing. It's not going to go anywhere. And it may just, dig its heels in deep and continue churning out the same product because Vince is stubborn. But he's not going to win doing that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, he's not. And that's the interesting part, bro. That's the biggest part that's interesting to me is how is Vince going to respond to if AEW Double or Nothing is incredibly successful, which I think everybody who's a real wrestling fan, and I'm not talking about WWE fans, I'm talking about all wrestling fans, I don't think anybody wants this to fail. I think everybody wants this to do good. And if it does really well, and WWE's ratings continue to tank, and then of course the backlash that's always going to come with this whole Saudi Arabia trip, how's he gonna respond to this? How is it? I mean, listen. I know the man is stubborn, but is he really going to cost himself millions of dollars just to prove that he won't change, that he's not going to budge for anybody? Is it worth it?
Well, I mean, obviously he thinks it is. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They're going to have this blood in the sand show or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And again, it's I don't want to talk like world stuff, and but it's just a bad scene, and like the closer it gets, people's going to get back on like that bandwagon, which again is good, and it's awful funny too. It is awful funny that the ratings have kind of started to dip since the last time they went to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Is that not part of this? Because let's face it, a lot of people are quick to take a stance nowadays.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to get into that. This is not that kind of show. I don't want to discuss politics, but because we're here together, as I said, we are one, and politics divides. Now that is the last thing that I'll say about politics.
Right.
But back to the politics of the business.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's I wish I had an answer. I wish I had an answer on like what the outcome of this is going to be. I know I'm going to watch. It's going to be very fascinating to be a part of watching it and discussing it with you, and discussing it with our people.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And as you were saying, they have that Saudi Arabia show June 7th. It's called Sands of Time, and I know you as well, we echo the sentiments, not to get too political, but we both feel like that trip is disgusting. Speaking of things that are disgusting, man, Lars Sullivan and the disgusting things that he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's good, man. I promise I wouldn't even try to set you up for that segue. It just naturally happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
it did.
but just to kind of, we're not going to toot our own horn here, but a beep beep.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, just to try to add a little bit of humor here before this very serious subject.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just so
Yeah,
you guys know, it is going to get pretty serious right now, so be prepared for that.
yeah. It's that man harbored either harbors or harbored a lot of hate inside of him, and his hate was even bigger than the shell that carried it, which is pretty big in and of itself. All I can say is I like what Big E said about, what, we have heard about it, we know about it, and he's going to have to deal with the albatross of being a bigot in a locker room that's full of minorities.
Yep.
And
Big E's, man, such a class act. But go ahead.
and I'm not going to sit here and say that nobody is beyond redemption,
Right.
but it's going to take more than a contrived corporate response like the one he gave.
He did. Yeah. And of course, everybody, you know what? Everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. But yeah, that's my opinion, is that it was very vague and robotic. And it seemed like that somebody at Stanford wrote it for him.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say that he acknowledged it. He spoke on it. And yes, you could say in doing that, he confronted the problem, and that absolutely needed to be done. And I'll even say I'll give him his due in actually acknowledging his past.
Yeah.
And I hope he looks back at that person who typed that out and felt that way and dislikes that person. And if that's true, then so be it. But your actions are going to speak on this. And I feel like, I'm not saying that you need to go out to like some communities and like contribute your time, but you can't do that because he's a heel, so that's kind of a tough spot. So what can he really do there? Because I mean, you can't have him out planting flowers in a garden in some, it's I mean this with all due respect, in some, like, he's not going to go to Compton, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
and like try to start a garden there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't do that and then be, whatever it is that they're calling him on Raw, other than Lars Sullivan. I don't know if they got a nickname for it. They seem to change it all the time. But
the freak.
The freak, whatever they're calling him this week. Anyway, the Viking experience. Oh no, that's a different. But yeah, man. So I mean, I'll give him that. But man, it wasn't just a line, man. Like, there's so many things. Because boy, when you talk about hate, he covered damn near every spectrum of it.
Yeah. He spread a lot of hate. Yeah.
From the minority thing to the homophobic thing, the women thing, which, oh God, that's. And maybe he didn't mean it that way. Maybe in his mind, he did not mean it in that negative connotation. I don't know. I'm not in a man's head, nor do I want to be, but that's really all I can say on it, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to swing my pendulum of judgment at somebody. He's got to live with himself if he's going to have that kind of hate. And if he does, it's going to be a rough road in WWE, because there's going to be a lot of people that's not going to put up with that. And I don't care how big you are. You're not going to be able to take down multiple people. And if you're being like that, you deserve an ass whooping from multiple people.
My thing is, man, is like you were saying about him doing like community, going out to the community and putting himself out there with minorities and stuff, and how he couldn't do it because he was a heel. Even if he was doing it as a face, man, it'd be almost like I'd still, honestly, man, I'd still be looking sideways at him. You know what I mean? I'd still be, and I'm not saying people can't change. I mean, but it's just like, man, like the things that he said, you know what I mean? The things that he said was just like heinous type things. And listen, I'm not sitting over here saying that I'm offended by everything and blah blah blah, but it's just like there's a certain, I mean, the things that he said, the ways that he said it, you know what I mean? It's just like real. That's how you feel. Like it's a weird situation, and it's crazy because now it's just like when Lars Sullivan is on my TV, like I'm not gonna give him any of my attention. You know what I mean? That's just where I'm at with it. Like I couldn't get behind the guy, or even like if he was a heel, hate the guy. Like it's not like I just don't care. You know what I mean? Because I know that if I give him any type of attention, besides the fact that we're talking about him on this podcast, we have to because this is a professional wrestling podcast, and that's a hot button issue. But I just don't really want to give him the attention. You know what I mean?
I'm with that as well. And you know, and I'm kind of glad you mentioned it being a hot button topic, because I've seen some people, and again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Right.
But this whole, it was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn how many years ago it's been. Old habits die hard.
That's the facts.
Okay. And that hate, as I said, runs deep. And again, yes, everybody can redeem themselves. Some people are found in religion. Some people have an epiphany on their own. You know, whatever journey it is that you take to come to that you know, that epiphany, you know, that thought process that makes you think, wow, I was just thinking all wrong. You know, I spent all this time hating people. And
Yeah.
why do that? Why? Because they're black, because they're Hispanic. I'm really going to hate somebody because they have more melatonin in their skin.
Yeah.
Is that the word? I mean,
Melatonin, yeah.
Is that really a reason to hate somebody? Or no?
I'm sorry, it's a melanin. I'm sorry. But go
Melanin.
ahead.
Not melanin. Thank you. I didn't think that was right. Oh boy, keyboard Kitty was over there like, oh, you dumb son of a bitch! You're sitting
I know,
there
right?
trying
That was yeah. We took it away from you. You guys couldn't correct us. We corrected ourselves. Ha! Go ahead.
You got it fine. I said it wrong. There you go. I own it. Moving on. Back to the point. And if that's what you're going to dwell on, you're a shithead Shane. And
Yep,
I'm going to keep it
exactly.
pushing.
Yep.
Anyway, back to what I was saying about adult matters.
Yep. Go ahead.
Having that much hate inside of you, man, that doesn't die easily. And I hope it did for him. That's really all I can say on it. And I think they may need to kind of pull back the reins on him a little bit.
Yeah,
because
you got to because you got to let this cool off a little bit.
The last thing that he needs is a main event run right now.
Ooh, yeah, that's a bad look. That's a bad look right
Now,
now.
let me throw out a possible hypothetical.
Sure.
What if, and they would have to tread this very lightly, they definitely couldn't go full bore with it, but they would give him his comeuppance at the end. What if, just to push the envelope a little bit, maybe they kind of borrowed a little bit? I mean, they can kind of, because again, it's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out there. And, I mean, let's face it. Again, they did a necrophilia skit, for crying out loud. Is there really any other line they wouldn't cross? I mean, because on one hand, because again, any kind of negative, I wouldn't like the idea, but I don't know, man.
What is it?
It's just, I personally, I say get him off the TV. I don't think he needs to be there at all, because I'll say this as well, and again, I don't know the circumstances, and I don't want to draw this kind of line, but Lio Rush really didn't do anything that bad.
Oh, Lio Rush?
And that, and now he's, stepped away, gone.
Oh, yeah, yep. I think, see, Lio Rush, it's weird because I agree with you there. Lio Rush didn't do anything that bad. I think he's just immature. Lio Rush is. That's a whole other thing. But with Lars, it's like look what happened with all. Okay, for example, all the stuff with Hogan, right?
Yeah.
They damn near blackballed Hogan. Like they stopped. Like remember when that happened, when all that stuff came out, and then they took him off of like the graphics of the startup and everything, and then they didn't reference him on TV for such a long time, and then I mean, yeah, he was there in Saudi Arabia, but how long was it before we saw Hogan between the time that they kind of took his face off? They damn near gave him the Chris Benoit treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And then they just kind of dipped their toe back in to bring kind of name dropping him here and there, referencing him here and there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and that's Hulk Hogan, and that sucked. I wasn't a big Hogan guy. I respected him for what he was. I more so liked him as Hollywood and NWO.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like a huge Hogan guy.
Yeah.
But that still was sad to find out. Like,
yeah,
and that just
sucked.
To find out. I mean, just goes to that whole big list of like childhood icons that just ended up being kind of messed up people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True,
but
man.
But again, everybody. Oh yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, going back to what I was saying, man. It's just everybody has a chance for redemption, and I hope that hate's gone within him. I really do.
That's where it all comes down to, man, and that's where my point was. Where it's like they totally pushed Hogan out after his thing, but all this. The stuff that he said, I mean, yeah, Hogan said some things, and none of it's good. Okay, let me be clear, none of it's good. I don't think there's some things that's, that much bad, that much worse than other things. If it's bad, it's bad. But the things that Lars Sullivan said was just disgusting, and we're gonna keep rolling with him when first off he's not even that hot of a talent. He's just coming out. I mean, but he's not that hot of a talent. He's not that hot. But you guys totally blackballed Hogan, and he pretty much made the WWF in the late 80s and 90s. And you totally blackballed him, but you're going to keep this guy on TV and push him. And what he said was probably pretty, and breaking him down and putting him together was worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess we'll see how it goes in the coming weeks with him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they may cool off on him. We might not see him next week.
Right.
They keep him off TV. I don't know, and it'll be kind of hard to do because they've been doing this thing where it's like, here he comes. He just he's wrecking shop on everybody. So but then just for him to randomly disappear.
Let me ask you this. Before we call this an episode, I got one last thought that I want to get from you about this Lars Sullivan thing, and here it is. Let's say, and just roll with me here, just go with me. Let's say it's Monday Night Raw. They have, I don't know, Hawkins and Ryder in the ring. I don't know. We'll just say them, whatever. And then they just won a match or something like that. And then all of a sudden, out comes Lars Sullivan, da-da-down, 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 down, 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 and he comes out to beat them up. And during the beatdown of those two, the crowd starts chanting like, "You're a racist," and like just, yeah. What do you think would be the response to that if the crowd were to chant something even along those lines at him? And that's my final question for you.
Matthew would have that on the next episode of Botchamania as soon as possible. But oof, man. Well, they would definitely. I feel like they would try to kill the crowd audio and pipe in the old fake cheers and whatnot they used to have from the tape SmackDown.
Yeah. Oh God, so bad. Oh.
And Vince would probably be cursing and throwing his headset at that point because yikes.
Yeah. Dude, Do you think they'd pull him right after that? They'd kind of have to, right?
Yeah, because well, and then that kind of goes back to. I mean,
There's two ways
yeah,
they could go with this, Michael. They could either pull him or they could double down and keep him on TV.
well, and again, brings us back to Vince being stubborn. And we know Vince loves larger than life big guys, and love him or hate him, Lars is that.
Yeah.
You know, Lars is a massive guy. So, and I'm sure Vince sees money in a match between Lars Sullivan and Braun Strowman at some point.
Okay.
And at one point, I did too. But it brings us back to the original staleness of the subject at hand here. And me personally, I can't get invested, because when I see that man and I hear the music, which again, I love the theme, and I actually said on here before, you can quote me on this show, I believe. I said I liked Lars. I liked what he was doing.
Yeah.
Him coming out smashing people and beating people up. He was starting to get that presence, like, oh shit's about to break here. Here we go. Lars is pissed. And now it's like, oh God, here, you know, and it's like, it's just nothing.
Yep. I don't feel
nothing.
it anymore. I don't feel it no more. I don't. First off, I don't feel it because I don't want to feel it. I just don't want to, because I don't want to support this guy. I do not want to support this guy. You know, I was able to go ahead and suspend it and be like, oh, here comes, you know, suspended disbelief, and be like, oh, here comes Sullivan. People's about to get hurt. But now that I know what I know, I can't do that anymore. And the beauty part about the type of fans that we are, Michael, is that we know when to turn it on and turn it off. You know what I mean? And when it comes to Lars Sullivan, like, it's gonna stay off, bro. It's gonna stay off.
Yeah, I don't see it like changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I don't care if he comes out and cuts a great promo. I don't care if he ends up being funny. I don't care. Like, that's a talent that I'm not going to wish ill will upon him.
Absolutely not. No, that's not our style.
Even if he said some stale stuff, and hey, if he pops off at somebody and he catches an ass beating, hey, I'm sure he deserved it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to wish ill will on that man. No curse, no pox, no nothing like that. I do wish that, you know, that he drops the hate. But as far as being invested in him as a talent, zero, nada, nothing.
And I totally agree with you there, man. So this was another really good episode, man. Another good one. Definitely a lot of hot conversation in it. Michael, you already know what it is, man. Plug away, my man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, I hate to end it on such a serious note here. You know, we like to try to keep it lighthearted and fun here, but I feel like it was a subject that we had to discuss.
Totally agree.
You know, we'll be back to the more lighthearted chicanery and hijinks that you guys are used to next week. Anyways, speaking of hijinks and whatnot, you can catch me on the Twitter at Mikey Hutch, IYH. Give me a follow. I'm up to a whopping 10 followers now.
Yay.
You know, 'cause I got Miss Shelly Sue following me. So that happened.
Shelly.
That's right. I got a lady following me. That's right. We bring ladies over here too.
Lady Shelly.
Nah, Shelly. Shut up, Shelly. Anyway, he gets that. Anyway, so yes, thank you guys very much for listening. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Hope we didn't upset anybody, but if we did, we can kindly have a tactical adult conversation about it.
Facts.
If you would like.
Facts.
Hit me up. We can chop it up on the Twitter. So take care. We love you, and remember, we are one.
Facts. And guys, also come and check out, or you guys can check out myself, Mikey Hutch, our buddy Jeff, and Jeff's wife. We're all going to be at Evolve 128 in Indianapolis. We're going to be seeing names such as Adam Cole, Cassius Ono, and the champ, Austin Theory, there at Evolve. And we're going to be checking them out tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a blast. I absolutely can't wait. It's going to be a great day. We also have a great week of interviews coming for you guys. We have Sean McMahon of Nothing Else on TV. He is the founder and CEO of his own streaming service, and also he is talent relations at OWE. That's Oriental Wrestling Entertainment. You might have seen OWE before, and the reason that you have is because they are actually giving talent to AEW for Double or Nothing. So that's going to be a very interesting interview to talk to Sean McMahon. So that's going to be interesting. Also, we have Professional Wrestling Valet Cash coming on to talk about her career, her time in wrestling. That'll be another coming guest coming soon. Also, we're going to have Sean Patrick O'Brien, esteemed referee. Definitely want to hear from a referee standpoint, looking at the business from his eyes. So I always wanted to hear about that, so we're going to have him on. We have a couple other guests coming at you guys. It's been fun and incredible, and guys, definitely keep joining us on this ride. Guys, this was another incredible episode. Definitely much love, and you're humbling us. You're humbling us here at In Your House with everything that's coming. We're still working on the Pro Wrestling Tee store. I know I broke that little bit of news on the last episode, but yeah, we're still working on it. We're gonna get it up, and when we get it up, hey, we're gonna have some shirts for you guys to rock. We haven't put that news out on social media yet, but that'll be coming very, very soon. Guys, let me let you know where you can listen to us. We're at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and also Himalaya. Oh, and Google too. I'm sorry, can't forget about Google Play. Guys, you guys already know what it is. Anywhere you guys are, we can get you there. Alright, that's what we do around here. Guys, hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household is coming strong. Have a good day and a good rest of your week. Peace.